It's dawn in the Taiwan Strait. Chinese warships form a wall across the waterway. No cargo ships in, no cargo ships out. Taiwan's economy starts dying within days. The world loses access to 90% of its advanced semiconductors within weeks. The United States has a choice: accept the blockade or break through it by force. This isn't about politics. This is about what actually happens when two modern navies face off in the most dangerous waters on Earth. Let's run the scenario. Taiwan is an island roughly 100 miles from mainland China. It's home to 23 million people and produces the majority of the world's most advanced computer chips. Companies like TSMC manufacture semiconductors that power everything from iPhones to F-35 fighter jets. China considers Taiwan part of its territory and has never ruled out using force to reunify it. The United States, while not officially recognizing Taiwan as independent, has committed to helping defend it under the Taiwan Relations Act. This creates one of the most dangerous geopolitical situations in the world. A blockade is China's most likely move because it's less escalatory than an invasion, but still cripples Taiwan. It's economic strangulation without firing the first shot. For the U.S., breaking a blockade means sailing warships directly into contested waters within range of hundreds of Chinese missiles. The stakes are enormous. The risks are real. Let's start with China's advantages. This is their home turf. The blockade force would likely include 30 to 40 surface warships positioned in layers across the strait. Type 055 destroyers, China's most advanced surface combatants, armed with anti-ship and anti-air missiles. Type 052D destroyers providing layered air defense. Frigates and corvettes filling gaps in the blockade line. But the real threat isn't the ships you can see, it's what's behind them. Land-based missile batteries positioned along China's coast can hit targets 1,000 miles away. The DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles are specifically designed to target aircraft carriers. China has hundreds of these missiles pre-positioned and ready to launch. Submarines. China operates roughly 60 submarines, including modern Yuan-class diesel-electric boats that are extremely quiet in shallow coastal waters. They'd be positioned along likely U.S. Navy approach routes. Aircraft. The People's Liberation Army Air Force would provide constant air coverage. J-20 stealth fighters, H-6 bombers carrying anti-ship missiles, and maritime patrol aircraft tracking every U.S. vessel. China's strategy is simple. Layer defenses so thick that the cost of breaking through becomes unacceptable. They don't need to sink a carrier. They just need to make the U.S. think twice about risking one. The U.S. response would center on a carrier strike group, the most powerful concentration of naval firepower on Earth. Typical composition: one aircraft carrier, likely USS Ronald Reagan or USS Carl Vinson, carrying 60 to 70 aircraft. 2 Ticonderoga-class cruisers equipped with Aegis air defense systems. 3 to 4 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers with Tomahawk missiles and advanced radar. 1 to 2 Virginia-class attack submarines. Support ships for logistics. The carrier brings FA-18 Super Hornets for strike missions and air superiority, E-2 Hawkeye radar planes for early warning, and EA-18 Growlers for electronic warfare, jamming Chinese radars and communications. U.S. advantages are quality and experience. American crews have decades of operational experience. Their sensors are more advanced. Their integration between ships and aircraft is unmatched. But they have one critical disadvantage: distance. The nearest U.S. bases are in Japan and Guam, hundreds of miles away. China can launch missiles from land. The U.S. has to bring everything by sea. Hour zero. The U.S. announces it will conduct freedom of navigation operations through the Taiwan Strait. The carrier strike group begins moving from its position east of Taiwan toward the strait. Hour 2. Chinese destroyers move to intercept, positioning themselves directly in the path of the U.S. formation. Both sides are broadcasting warnings. No shots fired yet, but tensions are at breaking point. Hour 4. The U.S. launches airstrikes not against ships, but against Chinese radar and missile sites on the coast. Tomahawk cruise missiles hit early warning radars. F/A-18S drop precision guided bombs on mobile missile launchers. This is the critical moment. The U.S. needs to blind China's targeting systems before Chinese missiles can lock onto the carrier. China responds with saturation attacks, launching 50 to 100 anti-ship missiles simultaneously from land, sea, and air. The goal is to overwhelm U.S. air defenses through sheer numbers. The Aegis system on U.S. cruisers and destroyers is the best air defense in the world, but it has limits. Each ship can track hundreds of targets and engage dozens, but against a swarm of 100 incoming missiles, some will get through. Hour 6. The first missiles penetrate the defensive screen. A destroyer takes a hit. Not sunk, but damaged and out of action. The carrier's escorts move to shield it, launching SM-6 interceptors and using their own electronic warfare systems to spoof incoming missiles. Meanwhile, U.S. submarines are hunting Chinese subs. A Virginia-class boat detects a Yuan-class submarine and fires torpedoes. The Chinese sub is forced to evade, breaking its attack run against the carrier group. Hour 12. The U.S. strike group is now within 50 miles of the blockade line. Chinese surface ships are repositioning, trying to form a wall the Americans can't sail through without shooting. The U.S. doesn't want to sink Chinese warships if it can avoid it. That's an escalation that could spiral into full war. But they also can't allow the blockade to stand. The solution, a combination of intimidation and precision. U.S. destroyers sailed directly toward the Chinese formation at high speed. At the same time, F/A-18S conduct low passes over Chinese destroyers, not attacking, but demonstrating they could. Some Chinese captains hold position, others break formation, unwilling to risk their ships. The blockade line starts to fracture. Hour 18. A Chinese Type 055 destroyer fires warning shots across the bow of a U.S. cruiser. The Americans do not return fire but continue advancing. It's a calculated risk, betting that China won't escalate to direct ship-to-ship combat. Behind the scenes, U.S. submarines are creating chaos. They surface briefly within visual range of Chinese ships, then disappear. A psychological operation demonstrating that Chinese anti-submarine defenses have holes. Hour 20. A cargo ship escorted by U.S. warships enters the strait. If it makes it through, the blockade is broken. If China sinks a civilian vessel, they become the aggressor in the eyes of the world. China faces the choice they wanted the U.S. to face: escalate or back down. Hour 24. The cargo ship transits the strait. Chinese warships shadow it but do not engage. The blockade is effectively broken, not through overwhelming force, but through a combination of military pressure, psychological operations, and calculated risk. Losses. U.S. 1 destroyer heavily damaged, 2 aircraft lost, approximately 40 personnel casualties. China, multiple radar sites destroyed, 1 submarine damaged, 3 to 4 aircraft shot down, several surface ships with minor damage from warning engagements. Neither side achieved total victory. Neither side suffered catastrophic defeat. This is the reality of modern naval warfare between peer adversaries. It's extraordinarily costly, and the outcomes are rarely clean. This scenario reveals several critical truths. First, geography matters. China has the advantage of fighting close to home with land-based support. The U.S. has to project power across thousands of miles of ocean. Second, neither side wants to sink the other's major warships. A carrier sinking or a Chinese destroyer going down could trigger uncontrolled escalation. Both sides know this, which means the conflict stays just below the threshold of all-out war. Third, breaking a blockade is possible, but expensive. The U.S. can do it, but the cost in lives, ships, and political capital is significant. That's exactly what makes a blockade attractive to China. It forces the U.S. to take the more dangerous action. Fourth, technology is crucial, but it's not everything. The U.S. has better sensors, better training, better integration. China has numbers and proximity. The battle isn't won by technology alone. The real lesson, this scenario is so dangerous that both sides would rather avoid it. But if deterrence fails, this is what the opening 24 hours look like. If you want more military scenarios like this, subscribe. Tomorrow we're analyzing what happens if Iran attacks a U.S. carrier in the Persian Gulf, and why that scenario might be even more dangerous than this one. Drop a comment. Which conflict do you want broken down next? I read every single one.